What's going on, guys? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal in Palm Beach County, Florida. And right now we are headed to do a fence removal from a backyard in West Palm Beach. It isn't a crazy amount of fencing, but because it is debris, I do bed load it. So I did quote for a full truck plus a little bit of a heavy item fee because some of the posts still have concrete on them and it's not just a little chunk. It looks like the full 24 to 30 inches worth of concrete. So I did charge a little extra for that. I am going to pick up my labor help right now. I've been using him a little bit more frequently this year because he's available, and my goal was to back off labor a little bit. So I'll go ahead and show you guys the job when we get there. She said that her sister referred her. If it's who I think it is, I did a job for her last year, like in the beginning, so it's been a while. So I appreciate the long-term referral. As far as this video goes, I do want to talk about commercial work a little bit. Some ideas I've been kind of looking into, because one of my goals is to do more commercial work this year, because I find that you typically are doing at least a full load or a pretty good size of one, and or multiple loads, and normally they're pretty okay about paying that extra price because they need it done either right away because they're moving or transitioning, or they just moved in and they want renovations done, and every day they're not doing that is a lot of money for a business. So I definitely want to push for that a little bit more often. So I've been looking up other people's videos about doing commercial work. A lot of it's pretty common and self-explanatory that you would just typically think of. And then each one I've seen has had at least one or two ideas that are like kind of a little interesting and different. So I figured I'd go ahead and throw down the mix of things I've been kind of looking into and what I'm considering actually pursuing, along with some ideas that I had that I haven't really been seeing often. So hopefully I mentioned something that you guys haven't thought of as well, and you can add it to your list of places to market to, and vice versa. If you have an idea that I didn't mention, please do comment it down below so that I and the other people watching this video can try to utilize that as well. But in the meantime, I will see you guys when we get to the job, and let's try not to get super dirty. That's why we got the long sleeve shirts out today. So as you can see, that job is complete and we are now at a storage unit. This is not job related, this is for me. I went ahead and got a 10x10 outdoor storage unit that I can just pull my trailer up to, because my goal this year is to sell more furniture and scrap more. And unfortunately, my 10x9 garage, along with the accumulation of everything else for the house inside of it, doesn't fit well for a storage unit when you're trying to sell more stuff. So went ahead and bit the bullet, got this reasonable price compared to the other ones I found, but it'll definitely serve its purpose, and I'll just take a profit from the scrap and then a profit from the selling every month and put it towards a storage unit. So at the end of the day, there's no cost actually coming out of my pocket. It's also a relatively accessible unit, so I can come by before or after jobs and drop off stuff. But enough of that. The job went over pretty well. Took about 25-30 minutes, give or take, with the help. It was actually a little less than I thought it was in the pictures, but at the end of the day, it is still debris and it did still bed load to about a full truck. Plus the concrete was a little bigger than I thought. So we pretty much kept the price the same. I did give her a repeat client discount because her sister that referred her had a different last name than what I was remembering, but I did a job for her about 1.5 years ago. So because of that long-term knowledge of still remembering who I was and referring me, was very appreciative, so I gave her the discount because of that. And I'll be sure to send her sister a thank you card. Hopefully she's still at the same address, as my client will get one as well, of course. All right, we just talked to the front desk manager at the storage unit. I asked her about the big old pile of stuff back here, and she said that they cleaned out a unit recently and they have a dumpster that they're gonna be loading it up tomorrow and that'll be out of the way. I gave her a stack on my car. She said she'd be happy to hand them out to anyone who asks. And I did ask her about a vendor position for the complex, and she said that she would just forward my card to her district manager. Nonetheless, I think just being here in general is going to be a good idea. That loading dock in the main building is packed. So I think every time I come here to drop stuff off or leave, I can hang around for a few minutes. It's going to be really good marketing. So I think this is going to be a good move for me to make. But without further ado, to get into this list of commercial buildings. Now, some of the stuff you probably already know if you've heard 1,000 times. It may seem super like common sense. Maybe some of it you haven't thought of, or you have, but you don't know how to pursue it. And some of it is going to be more different avenues to get to that destination that I think may be a little helpful for you. So right off the back, of course, we have office buildings and plazas. And I personally think call centers is a good place to target because of the recent and continuous uprise and people doing call center jobs at home. I think these buildings that typically normally fit 200 to 500 people of them are going to need to continuously downsize, and by doing that they're going to need to get rid of all those desks and computers and file cabinets to move to a new location. That's the job I did last year. That was like a $4,000 or $5,000 job. So I personally think call centers is on the uprise for needing to downsize. The next thing is warehouses, and this is more for boxes like overflow. A lot of places, like say their compactor stops working, they're going to accumulate a lot of boxes quickly, and that's something that would be an easy junk removal because it's all lightweight, whether you break it down or not. If you do break it down, you can just charge extra for your time, but just in general, that's something that's going to fill up your truck quickly and you could do multiple trips for. Or stores that are doing remodels. So if you see a store that says, you know, excuse our mess, we're remodeling, or if you see a dumpster outside or you see any kind of construction work going on, I would stop by and hand off your card and see if they're going to be doing any renovations. Yes, they can get a dumpster, but they also have to hire people to fill those dumpsters because they're not going to use their own employees for a franchised storefront. So see if that's something you can go in and clear out all their old display cases or break down their shelves or clear out all of their clothing racks or whatever the case. I just think that that'd be something that's kind of beneficial to do. The next thing is obviously storage facilities, and not so much handing your cards for the clients, though do that, but just try to get in as a vendor for the facilities themselves. So when they have auctions and people buy out, or let's say something never makes it to auction, or someone gets evicted, or someone dumps off a bunch of crap on the side of the building. Some places have things set up with the city where they'll come out and pick it up for free. Others, they get charged a lot of money for it depending on your area, at least in South Florida. So that may be something that would be beneficial to market to. Next up is restoration companies. So the guys that deal with the emergency mold, fire, and water damage situations, where they'll go in and clean out a house that's been damaged and then they'll, you know, redo the floors and the walls. Those are places I think would be a good place to start. Now, you want to be careful dealing with the mold situation and the fire damage, because if everything's burnt, you may want to check with your city to make sure that it's okay to dispose of that in bulk, because that may be a chemical kind of toxic release situation. Otherwise, I do think that just in general, those are good companies to work with because they're often dealing with it themselves. Next on the list is hotels. So it's very infrequent, and I found this out when I marketed to all of them, that they swap out all of their furniture. But typically it sounds like beds seem to go about once every 1 to 3 years. They'll swap out all the mattresses, sometimes sooner. And a lot of hotels seem to do it on their own like pay, but a lot of them don't. And I think those would be the ones to kind of shoot for. I've heard like try your like typical Motel 8 because they typically don't have the funds to do those dumpsters and hire out people to do the whole big thing, and they're usually smaller in size, so they can afford to pay out for a couple of trucks versus somewhere like Hilton that has 500 rooms. But I would market to both, honestly. Just go in, ask for the property, or ask for the manager or whoever does their sales management, and just like ask them. You know, they may not be in the market, but maybe another location in your county does, and then you could try it with that. And then the last thing I want to kind of mention is try to find out the property management that owns all of these places and reach out directly to them. So let's say I drive up to so-and-so plaza that has like a store strip, you have dumpsters out back and some of them are kind of overflowed. I would try to find the property management of that plaza. You can usually just Google the address and do some research, and you can usually find out who it is, and send them an email directly or try to call them and say, hey, I was recently at so-and-so plaza and I saw you guys manage the whole property. I was wondering if we could set up a contract where when you have overflow of the dumpsters out back, the city won't take, or when you remodel a store, you close out a store, whatever the case, you know, I'm a local company, I can come out and do that junk removal for you. And even if they don't need it for that plaza, if they own one plaza, there's a good chance they own multiple, especially in the same area. So you may be able to pick up work in other areas going through them. But that way you're taking the snake's head off from the start versus trying to make your way around different stores. You can just go right to the source that realistically runs the whole operation. So those are just some quick commercial tips. I hope some of them help. Some of them obviously were probably pretty common, but there's only so much we can realistically do. Like I said, if you know of anything, try to comment it down below. I also keep an eye out when I'm driving around. If I see a dumpster out front, office plaza or a building, I'll try to find out who it belongs to, and I'll go in and give my card, because that's what happened with that big office job I had. They already had a 60-yard dumpster outside, but it was full, and they had 4 days to get out, and they didn't get that dumpster until the second day. They had guys there loading up Penske trucks. They had guys moving the stuff. It was all over the place, and they said, we just need you to get out as much as possible. So that was one of those situations where it was more of a time issue than anything else. So give it a shot. Let me know what works and what doesn't, and let me know if you guys have any recommendations yourselves. But that is it for me. This long guy's about to blow stuff all over my truck, so I'm gonna go ahead and head out of here. Hope everyone's January is going well, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.